I'm fully prepared with everything I need for the Jay Z documentary. The moment he sent that legal letter, I knew I had to let the world see who he really is. He and Diddy are cut from the same cloth. He just hides his arrogance and control behind a cleaner image. Our feud has lasted 20 years, and I know better than anyone what he's done in the shadows. I even suspect that so-called funeral bouquet wasn't Diddy's idea at all, but Jay Z acting on his behalf. Back when Nicki Minaj posted that video of him wearing a pink wig, all I did was repost it, and he got so nervous he had his lawyers threaten me. In 2015, Nicki worked her ass off helping him build his platform, and he allegedly pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. And then there's his fingerprints all over key incidents through the years, whether it's the elevator footage or the guest list at Diddy's parties. He was involved, clearly, but somehow he always walks away untouched. That's what he's best at, pulling strings behind the scenes while pretending to be spotless in public. And now that a corner of the darkness has been ripped open, I'm not stopping. Everything my team and I are doing isn't about attacking anyone. It's about making sure the truth can't be buried by him ever again.
He ain't answering the phone? He ain't answering the motherfucking phone. Yeah, it's like this, like
we had a black billionaire's lunch.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's a billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man.
And we here together, and we're gonna keep staying together. We getting tighter.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year. Yo, I feel like I'm normal again. Get me out of here.
Jay Z is under growing pressure after online reports claim that private messages allegedly exchanged between him and Diddy have begun circulating, triggering an intense wave of public reaction. The situation has pushed Jay Z into an uneasy spotlight, reigniting long-running debate over his close ties to Diddy and raising fresh questions about his proximity to past controversies. As attention around these unverified exchanges continues to build, old claims are being dragged back into focus, familiar narratives are gaining new momentum, and the scrutiny is escalating quickly, placing real strain on the reputation and legacy Jay Z has spent decades carefully constructing.
Sean Carter aided and abetted or was directly involved. It's about to get real tense, and there's a lot of girls and boys who are still trapped inside.
50 Cent has repeatedly stated in past interviews that he intentionally kept his distance from Diddy's inner circle, explaining that certain invitations and social settings immediately felt off and prompted him to step away. He has made it clear that this conscious separation is precisely why he now speaks with confidence and without hesitation. When the allegations later came to light, he emphasized that he discovered them the same way everyone else did, through public reporting, and while the accusations carried serious weight, he maintained that none of the developments caught him off guard.
Jaguar Wright explained that Jay Z is worse than Diddy. She explained how Jay Z has done worse things than what Diddy did to Cassie to other females. And she said that she has the scars to prove it. She alleged that at one time Jay Z attacked her and got it on film like Diddy did. And she alleged that this is why Jay Z is totally pulling away from Diddy and you don't see him around. And it's been alleged for quite a while that Jay Z is pulling away from Diddy because he doesn't want himself caught in the crossfire. I mean, you even have 50 Cent at this point talking about how Jay Z is in hiding while this whole Diddy thing blows over. And you even have these accusations of Jay Z being responsible for what happened to Cassie White. So I'm going to go ahead and roll you guys this clip of everything that Jag had to say about Jay Z being worse than Diddy. And you guys let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Sean Carter is just as bad as the diddler. And I know that for a fact. I got the scars to prove it. You want to know what a box cutter feels like going into your skin and ripping you? I can tell you how it feels. Y'all ain't seen shit yet. That Cassie shit, that's nothing. I'm saying Sean Carter remembers everything he did to me and he's got it on tape. just like Diddy. And they're going to be crazy. It's going to be the women that get them in the end.
As public scrutiny expanded, the focus began drifting toward Jay Z, with critics questioning his continued silence as the situation surrounding Diddy grew more unstable. That reserved stance only fueled deeper speculation, leading some to assume his team may have anticipated his name surfacing in civil conversations and moved strategically to stay ahead of the narrative. Others warned that even without formal action, reputational harm can take root long before facts are settled. At the same time, social media poured gasoline on the fire, rapidly spreading unverified claims and intensifying assumptions at a pace that made the backlash feel sudden, relentless, and nearly impossible to contain.
Exactly what Jay Z's accuser is saying, that even though she dropped the lawsuit, she still stands by what she says, and she only dropped it because of harassment and the fact that she's terrified of Jay Z. She says that Jay Z is allegedly bullying her into saying that her accusations were false. In fact, in new legal documents, she is claiming that she was recently approached outside of her home and cornered by two people who told her they were investigators working for one of Jay Z's lawyers. She claims they tried to get her to sign an affidavit stating that her art claims against Jay Z were false, but she refused. Jane Doe also claims the alleged investigators asked her if her attorney, Tony Busby, sought her out as a client and offered her money to pursue false claims against Jay Z, two allegations she says she denied. He says this alleged confrontation left her intimidated and terrified, wondering how they found her when her identity had remained anonymous in media reports and legal proceedings. He also claims that her parents were approached by two investigators asking similar questions about Busby and her R story. In the new documents, she reveals she decided to drop the claim because she was frightened by the reaction from Jay Z and his supporters. Says she feared she would be publicly outed and subjected to.
Industry observers have cautioned that even a single criminal inquiry could send shockwaves far beyond Diddy, destabilizing anyone seen as operating within his orbit, which is why many believe 50 Cent's documentary carries real significance. Instead of singling out one figure, it presents a wider lens on how power, access, and influence function behind closed doors, who may have been aware of what was happening, and how accountability can rapidly spread once scrutiny takes hold. Analysts have also questioned how Diddy remained shielded for so long, with some arguing that strategic alliances and tight control over public narratives helped contain rumors as they circulated. Against that backdrop, reports emerged claiming Diddy may be cooperating with authorities to reinforce his position, a move that unverified sources suggest could involve sharing information about others in his circle, further intensifying unease across the entire industry.
Will Diddy start snitching?
He better. But the only thing I'm interested in him talking about is everything he knows about Kathy Coriana White. See, I know you know what happened to Corey. Diddy, I know that. You and Jay Z. Down in Vegas at Tao with Claudia. Why don't you just talk about Kathy? That might help. That might help a lot. Kathy Coriana White, Jay Z's pregnant mistress, who died 24 hours after she announced that she was going public with their relationship and the baby. While he was married to Beyonce. Was it an aneurysm, Diddy? Or are you the one who paid the same coroner that you... Oh, Diddy, you should...
With the documentary now officially out, it's clear this story isn't locked in the past. It's actively shaping what comes next, and the pressure is rising fast. Every new detail sharpens the spotlight on those who chose silence, with Jay Z increasingly at the center as questions grow louder. The scrutiny carries real weight because his history with Diddy stretches back decades, making claims of distance harder for critics to accept. That tension intensified when Gene Deal publicly pushed back against statements from Jay Z's legal team, arguing that portrayals of minimal connection clashed with what many insiders had long observed. As more voices step forward and timelines are re-examined, the pressure continues to build, turning once muted associations into unresolved questions that refuse to disappear.
How close was Diddy and Jay Z? They was close enough that they wasn't playing basketball, they wasn't playing baseball, they wasn't playing football, and they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his ass, and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay Z. Now, I don't know what kind of statement, and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it, but I don't know what kind of half a homo that is. And you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay Z said the same thing about them. But they were so close that they had matching white girls together. Because when they used to see each other, they used to say, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? He'd be like, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? So I guess that's a certain type of closeness.
I ain't know anything about that, man. I ain't know about, Jay touching his, so I got to go see the video. I ain't hear about that.
Come on, man. Everybody's seen that. 50 even pointed it out. Excuse me. When they was in ATL on stage. Remember when 50 bum rushed the stage with them?
Yeah, I think I recall that.
When Puff came on stage, first thing he did was pat Jay Z on that. But I forgot. That's your favorite rapper.
Hey, him and Pocket's 1A, 1B. But what's your issue with Jay, man? I didn't know you had an issue with him.
I'm never a fan of somebody that I was going to knock.
According to Gene Deal, the ease and familiarity between Jay Z and Diddy spoke louder than any denial, revealing a depth of connection that couldn't be staged. He often points to a moment on stage in Atlanta, when Diddy brought Jay Z out during a live show, an exchange where fans immediately noticed how natural and unforced their chemistry appeared. That clip later resurfaced and stayed in heavy rotation after 50 Cent drew attention to it, keeping the moment alive across social media. When questioned about whether his comments were driven by personal resentment toward Jay Z, Gene dismissed the idea outright, stressing that his perspective wasn't rooted in bias or loyalty. He referenced a past situation where tension briefly surfaced, only for Jay Z to later act as if it never happened, describing it as a familiar pattern among powerful figures who move through high-pressure worlds, ignite conflict, and then continue forward untouched, far removed from everyday consequences.
How these guys are, man. They'll cause situations and cause problems, and then they'll forget what they done because they on a whole nother atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit that he did, you got to understand, like now he'll say that they're kids because he's raising kids of his own. You understand? But how would you like it that if Blue Ivory, 15, 16 years old, 17, 18 years old, dating in his early 30s? You're not going to go for that. No matter what she came through in Hollywood. But you got to understand, guys who was around there, we didn't know Jay Z them ages. We didn't know these cats' age. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't having no beards and nothing like that. They was wearing low cuts. You understand? Clean face. I would have never believed when Jay was coming around the block, scooping up the young girls and stuff like that he was 30 years old. You know, if they 17, 18, 16 years old and they 22, you thinking they 22, 23, something like that, 24 years old? They mama and them need to check them. They daddy and them need to check them. But that's not that far off. But for somebody to be 30 years old in their 30s and they dealing with kids 16 years old, 17, 18 years, now that's a problem. That's an issue. And now he see that because he's raising kids. And he got a young daughter. I think he got another daughter that he didn't claim, and now he claiming them. These cats was doing a whole lot of stuff that people in the industry won't speak on. And then now that you're speaking on it and it's becoming where is that you can get on YouTube and you could talk about this and say what you seen or say what you heard, you understand, or what you know. Some people look at it being a problem. But these cats ain't street cats. They entertain us.
Dame Dash, once regarded as Jay-Z's closest partner, recently addressed the serious claims circulating around him, emphasizing that what stood out most wasn't just the allegations, but the sheer force of the public reaction. Dame noted that he had never witnessed Jay-Z under this level of sustained scrutiny, explaining that decades of influence had long placed him beyond serious challenge, particularly within mainstream media. Now, that layer of insulation appears to be thinning, leaving Jay-Z exposed to an intensity of public examination rarely seen before and signaling a wider shift in how prolonged attention can erode even the strongest reputational defenses, placing powerful figures under pressure once thought impossible.
Odd to see him in that, getting looked at in that way by white people, like Jay does, yeah, like I hope that shit didn't happen, but I'm like, damn, they turned the world real, like people on a certain level have been fucking with him a certain way where he couldn't do no wrong for like 25 years straight. This is the first time he's not getting a pass with white media, like he can control black media because a lot of them either work or do business with him, but like, ring champs can't get him out of this one, and neither can Charlemagne. Because, those are the guys that hold him down no matter what he does anyway. So he got to get to People Magazine and Entertainment Tonight right now because they on his head. But the question is why? Like, why now? Because for me, I'd be like, yo, that's so ridiculous. Yo, take that to trial. He's not going to win. Let's get a deposition or something, So I don't know why they on his head so much. Pause. But I never seen him, under this, I never seen him in this position to have to explain himself. Pause.
How you feel about the statement he came out with?
I mean, I didn't hear him say anything. I heard a piece of, like I said, I'm doing an interview, so I talk. I thought it was long. For a statement, I thought it was long, pause. But, I think right now, his silence is the worst thing for him. If he is innocent, he needs to let people ask him questions, and he needs to be able to say his side of the story.
What struck Dame Dash most was seeing Jay-Z in a role he rarely occupies, guarded, reactive, and under non-stop pressure, an unusual position for someone who has spent decades largely above public challenge. That shift made the scrutiny feel even heavier, especially given how rarely Jay-Z has had to publicly defend himself throughout his career. At the same time, questions have surfaced about why 50 Cent appears so driven to push the spotlight his way, with the connection to Diddy alone failing to fully explain the intensity. Tony Yayo added deeper context, pointing out that friction between 50 and Jay-Z runs back years and is rooted in rivalry, loyalty, and long memories within a fiercely competitive hip-hop landscape. While clashes and egos have always been part of the culture, Yayo also highlighted moments of growth, referencing a recent performance where 50 shared the stage with Dr. Dre and Cameron, signaling old tensions set aside. Cameron later remarked that Jay-Z prioritizes business over culture, a point Yayo echoed by noting Jay-Z's frequent presence at high-level corporate events while often skipping hip-hop moments that matter deeply to artists like 50, reinforcing perceptions of imbalance and leaving lingering questions about where his true priorities lie.
It said that he didn't know Puff at all or wasn't his friend. I thought that was a little extreme. I thought that was the wrong choice of words. I think that's going to trigger a lot of backlash. But the thing is, I never seen him get backlash at all. So that's what I'm saying. Now he getting backlash. Like, when did you know Jay-Z to be on his heels other than when he got beat up in the elevator? But that was nothing. But I've never seen him under the fire ever. Not in a long time. Not like, I've never seen people on his head like that, Paul. Ever.
Yeah, this might be my first time seeing people come at him like this.
Like I said, I didn't hear him say anything. Like, I'm not some white man speaking for another black man. Doesn't add up. It just doesn't work like that. Like, he doesn't know what to say on Jay's behalf. Jay would have to say that. So he instructed him to say that. Like, you don't even know if Jay told him to say that. He could have got off the stage and they was like, "Why'd you say that?" He was like, "I had to." You know, like, he probably said it because homeboy wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? Like, I didn't hear him say anything. I haven't heard Jay say a word yet. Have you?
Nah, I haven't heard him say anything.
There it is. So y'all going by a piece of paper with words. Don't get caught up in that. I have not heard him say one thing yet. You know, until I see him speak, he hasn't spoke to me. That's why I said I don't think he did not say that. His lawyer said it. So what else is a lawyer going to say? You know.
Tony Yayo highlighted what he sees as the defining divide between Jay-Z and 50 Cent: approachability, explaining that while Jay-Z operates from a position of extreme power and deliberate distance, 50 remains visible, accessible, and loyal to the people who helped build his rise. Yayo stressed that success should never erase memory, and that forgetting your foundation creates fractures that don't fade. One moment that stuck with him involved the Super Bowl halftime show, where Jay-Z reportedly opposed including 50, a situation Yayo says was only resolved when Eminem refused to perform unless 50 was part of the lineup. To Yayo, that decision went far beyond logistics or business, feeling personal and symbolic of long-simmering tensions, quiet rivalries, and unresolved history that continued to shape the uneasy dynamic between these towering figures.
There was this one part where 50 was talking, and he was saying, yeah, when Yayo was locked up, every G-Unit show, we actually put aside the money.
Bro, I told
for him,
you.
And he had like Yayo had like $1 million.
Right. I just told you when I came out of my building, I see the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
There was no way I was getting shot there. And this is what I kind of tell you is like, when we was talking about stacks with the Porsche, 50's not going to let you say, get the Porsche. He going to say, let's get him out the hood first. You know, if the money's there, but the money has to be there for you to live like that. The money's there. 50 didn't have to do that. Rest in peace to Hervé from Interscope, because he always said to me, man, 50 do more for you than any artist, than anybody does for their artists, more than Jay Z.
Over time, insiders say the relationship between Jay-Z and Diddy began to show visible strain, as trust reportedly weakened and quiet concerns emerged about who would ultimately protect their own interests if the situation turned hostile. Some voices have gone further, alleging that Jay-Z may have played a behind-the-scenes role in Diddy's unraveling, a claim publicly raised by Jaguar Wright but one that remains unproven and unverified. Regardless of accuracy, the growing tension underscores how rapidly alliances can fracture at the highest levels of influence, where loyalty is often conditional, power is fluid, and long-standing partnerships can dissolve without warning once pressure enters the equation.
Cameron.
Yeah.
He made a statement recently. He said that Jay-Z loves money more than hip-hop. And he pointed out that Jay-Z performed at Tom Brady's Hall of Fame ceremony, but he didn't perform in any Hip-Hop 50 events.
I mean, Jay-Z's on a whole nother level. Like, I mean, you know, he's like, but you know what I like about 50? 50's on a whole nother level, but he's still approachable. You still get to meet the people and you know, Jay got to remember the people that made him. You know, I'm not saying I don't got respect. I respect Jay-Z, 50, used to respect, you know, Diddy, but all that crazy shit going on. But, you know, I always respected him because I looked at, for New York, those were like the, you know, the guys. You know what I'm saying? The guys with the most money and the most influence. So with Jay is like, when the last time you haven't seen Jay. So I think people are just going to say that. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I mean, Jay, you know, you got to remember, he didn't want 50 at the Super Bowl. That was crazy. I'm like,
wait, Jay didn't want 50 at the Super
you didn't
Bowl?
Know that? Yeah, he didn't want.
I remember Eminem pushed for it.
That was some hater shit. Yeah,
I remember Eminem was like, I'm not going to do it unless 50 does it. I heard that.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that Jay was trying to stop it.
I don't think Jay. I don't know. 50 never told me that, but I don't think Jay wanted him there. I don't know.
Because of what? Some of the...
I mean,
back
you
and
know,
forth back in the
it's
day?
competition. You got to think, 50 always been competition for Jay. Remember? I'm about $1. What the fuck is 50 Cent?
That was a long time ago.
That was what, 9? What was that,
but
9?
But after that, they did a song together. Remember the whole,
but
the whole
50 was
sneaker
50
thing?
was always competition for niggas. Then remember Jay said, yo, 50's coming. He told Siegel and them, and Memphis Bleak and all them.
Yeah.
And come on, 50's like, he's on a whole nother level. You got to remember, he came after niggas. He came after Jay and Rockefeller. G-Unit came. And people might shit on G-Unit, but with Eminem, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, nobody has outsold us, bro.
Roger Bonds, who previously served as Diddy's head of security, offered a grounded perspective shaped by first-hand exposure, explaining that while he witnessed interactions between Diddy and Jay Z over the years, he never considered their connection truly close. In his view, Diddy seemed to assign far more significance to the relationship than it actually carried, revealing a clear gap between perception and reality, a disconnect that's common in elite circles, where status, proximity, and appearances often blur the truth and make alliances seem deeper than they really are.
Says to people, he goes into boardrooms and says to people, which I will never say, is he says, it's important for me to be a billionaire, because black people need to be billionaires. And why does specifically he, at that time, I've had this conversation with white money people when they go, it's important that Jay Z becomes a billionaire. And I go, why? And they said, because he wants to open up a casino. He wants to open up this. He should have an alcoholic brand. He needs to have a casino. He needs to have this. And you're like, why the fuck does anybody need a casino? Like another fucking casino
prints money
in this world.
And it makes it very possible for people to launder money all day.
Yeah. So like, why, even the fact that you want to become so powerful, then you're not saying because he needs to build schools for black people in black neighborhoods. It's because he wanted to build casinos for black people.
For them to keep wasting their money, and then for him to keep getting them overpriced merchandise. It's a rat trap.
Yeah.
All of it is. The sad part is that hip hop has now turned itself over to this greed machine and doesn't realize it's time.
Sources close to Diddy have claimed that behind closed doors he consistently extended support toward Jay Z, often making deliberate efforts to stand by him in moments that mattered, while receiving far less in return. That pattern, according to insiders, exposed a quiet imbalance in their dynamic, where loyalty flowed strongly in one direction but was rarely matched on the other. The accounts paint a picture of how relationships at the highest levels can look solid on the surface yet operate unevenly behind the scenes, revealing how power, perception, and selective allegiance can reshape partnerships in ways the public never sees.
Why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit different. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
Yeah, shout out D Haven. He actually hit us up, wanted to tell this story.
You need to talk to D Haven.
Yeah, we need to talk to him.
I told you that last year when I put you on the phone with him.
50 Cent has consistently explained in earlier interviews that he intentionally avoided becoming part of Diddy's inner circle, noting that certain invitations and social settings immediately felt questionable and prompted him to keep his distance. He has said that this conscious choice is precisely why he now speaks freely and without hesitation. When the allegations later surfaced, he clarified that he became aware of them the same way the public did, through news coverage. And while the claims carried serious implications, he emphasized that none of the developments caught him off guard.
I believe Puff felt they was close.
Oh.
But if you was a person on the outside looking in, like me and Uncle Paulie used to always talk about it, me and D-Rock would talk about, yo, why Puff kind of like sucking Jay off so much? You know what I'm saying? Cause you'd be like, we done flew to 5 or 6, 7 different concerts that Jay Z has, but Jay Z is not at one of Puff's shows. You know what I'm saying? You look at the Rock brunch where Puff will break his neck to get to the brunch, but Jay Z don't pop up at any of Puff parties. You know, now I can only speak up until 2012. You know what I'm saying? And Puff was breaking his neck. Like at the end of the day, in our mind, we say, yo, he ain't even invite Puff to his wedding. When he married Beyonce, Steve Stout and all of them was there. You know what I'm saying? And Puff was kind of in his feelings, but once again.
Oh, Puff was upset he didn't get invited to the wedding?
Of course he was.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? But you got to remember, we're security, so we're bottom on a totem pole. So he's not going to show you that it really affects him until you have a little conversation with him, or you say something, or you overhear something. But he didn't get invited to that. You know, yeah, Jay came through every once in a while. Like if we was in a yacht in San Tropez or one of these places like that, Jay might ride up. You know what I'm saying? And it's more or less to show.
From his viewpoint, Jay Z and Diddy were never as tightly bound as public perception suggested. While they moved within the same circles of wealth, influence, and opportunity, true loyalty was always missing. Over time, that imbalance quietly deepened, turning small fractures into fault lines that could no longer be ignored. Now, as developments play out in the open and scrutiny intensifies, those unresolved tensions are back in focus, raising a single, unavoidable question. Will these cracks continue to widen, or has the pressure reached a point where both legacies are at risk?